Greetings, Marsh here, and welcome to episode 155 of my modded Factorio playthrough. In this episode, we're going to put everything together and start building modules. Enjoy! While we're up here, let's check out and see how the gardens are doing. Yep, still doing pretty good. Still building up on the plant life, but critically, we're actually building gardens here at Swamp. Because once that hits 20, this will stop producing them, and it will start being self-sufficient. So it's getting there. We should start making seeds soon. Well, one thing we need to make sure is that we have all of the necessary resources for these modules. I think the thing that we're missing is aluminum plates. Actually, we might be missing the copper sheet coils as well. Oh no, we've got them. Okay, good. So we've got the sheet coils, we've got solder, we've got silver, and we've got plastic, we've got phenolic boards. So it looks like all we're short on is aluminum. So to make that request, we'll just come in here and say aluminum plates, negative 256 stacks. And then we need to adjust this. So we'll set this to aluminum. This will be the aluminum warehouse. And in a moment, that request should go through and one of these trains should activate. It's kind of cool seeing the rainbow of train colors based on the last thing that they moved. No aluminum plate. Is it not right there? Ah, the network is wrong. Yes, it needs to be on the plate network. There we go. And we gotta wait for the signal to make its rounds, because I think I have it set up for 60 ticks, or basically a second, for every request. So any station that's making a request, it looks to see once a second, is that station good? So it's going through every single station. So I might have to set that a little higher now that we have quite a few LTN stations, but that's why there's a bit of delay. I just didn't want LTN nuking the UPS. But there we go. So we finally have a use for our aluminum, which is good because we were getting overloaded on it. We can follow this chain. Look at all the processes. Seems pretty good. And then there's our nice huge quantity of sodium hydroxide that now that it's all been properly placed in the correct warehouse. But it's going to go down. I'm not sure exactly what that ratio is. I'm kind of curious. Let's double check here. Alright, so it's 4 ore for every 1 sodium hydroxide. Which is actually kind of bad considering what each train is 32,000. So we only have about 3 trains worth of sodium hydroxide in here. And it'll probably run at least 2 trains. Because the first train is delivering the resources to the new location. And then the second one is to fill up the backside of that. As it fills up all the belts and whatnot. But it's moving. And we don't have a system in place here for this to dump resources back in. It's probably not necessary. It seems like a little more attention than I'd like to give it. But we can wait for this number to get down, and if it gets down below, say, 40,000 or something, we can just dump all these resources back in. It's going down pretty readily now. But we still have lots of things that are filled up here. So unfortunately our lack of silicon will continue. But in the meantime, we can get this on the bus here. Seems like this would be a good spot to put it. Hopefully this station doesn't end up blocking belts, but it looks like it's working so far. And it'll come all the way down here, so it's getting to the point of requiring a pretty huge amount of belts to get anything done here. Because how far away from the station a lot of this stuff is. Probably at least to right here. Here's the nearest available spot. Luckily, we still have some landfill left over. But let's keep clearing out trees here. We need module contacts and the circuit boards, but let's do circuit boards first since the pipes are right here. So hopefully that would mean less pipe. And it looks like the recipe was wrong here, but that's easy enough just to change and update. And let's leave some space in here in case we need more room for the research labs. So something like that. Excellent, the aluminum trade made it. Oh yeah, look at that. We actually have a storehouse with a small amount of plant life in it. Oof, look at that. Boop, boop, boop. Little extras being sent down to be turned into science. I don't think I'm going to connect it for now. Just let it keep running and see how it works as it is. Okay, let's get this recipe adjusted to the main boards. Looks like there are some extra belts in here. And the outputs need to go the correct direction. And we need to get the chemicals over here. Hopefully we can just kind of keep going. Will it reach? It will if we do this. That won't cause any problems at all in the future. So we can use the pipe visualizer here to make sure that everything gets connected. It's a really neat mod. I'm kind of surprised that they haven't added that in vanilla, because it seems really useful. We need to get all these belts set up. So the module cases and the main boards do need to make it to these labs, but they also get used elsewhere. And it seems like down here would be a good place to put it. As far as the output, it'll have to go both ways. Further down the line to make modules, and backwards in order to get to the labs here. And we'll have another belt for the cases. And we can kind of swing these around like that to make sure they take half of a belt. And the other outputs need to come through here. That one's going to be a little off, so we'll have to go sideways here. Although, we might have to have some kind of loop around here in order to give research full access to these resources. So it's going to take up 2 belts for a period of time. But we can still kind of accomplish the goal here, but we can't drag and drop, unfortunately. And out of undergrounds already, because I forgot to pick them up. Unfortunately, you kind of need a bunch of them to do big projects like this on a bus. Well, in the meantime, how about we build the module cases as well. Let's line it up, add a couple of spaces, and we'll be back. And how is that aluminum doing? Okay, we made our delivery. It's not quite at the point of needing another train. And this is still going, filling back up. Well, I mean, we could go over there and at least transfer some of those resources into the primary warehouse, since we don't really want logic to be working based on that number if it's wrong. That was just a quick fix to keep production flowing. So let's see what we can do here. That might be too much. Well, I mean, if we fill it up more than 70,000, it's just going to start dumping back into this again, so I guess it wouldn't really matter. But there we go. So we're getting kind of close to not needing that anymore. Silver is unfortunately still overloaded. And we're not really using resources fast enough to see this logic operate. That all the belts are filled, so everything's just running. So otherwise, it's not too exciting right now. Kind of want to build a bridge to go up there, because I'm always driving to the left and then I have to drive to the right again. I mean, the trains have the bridge, but the car doesn't. Well, I mean, another way we can stop the loop back, it's kind of embarrassingly simple, is just combine all of these belts before sending them down to the bus. Actually, let's go this way. It does kind of extend a little bit into the bus, but that's okay. That's what undergrounds are for. Certainly makes the bus a lot cleaner when you don't have lots of undergrounds. So I probably should be combining belts before putting them onto the bus like that. Yeah, I wonder for future builds, if instead of having one belt go into each one, I should be adding these combiners and splitters, because it's just less work to attach it with those in place. But looks like these are all going to be in the way a little bit. Well, maybe this is a reason why not to do it like that. Because this is kind of almost worse. But I think that will hook up the tin and copper. Let's see if it does. Seems good. So we just need the phenolic boards now. Okay, I think when this is hooked up, it should all start working. I noticed there's some tin on that belt right there, so this looks like something got messed up. Otherwise, pretty good. So how in the world did tin get attached? Wait a second. Okay, okay. It did not like that underground. That was strange. Well, we've got some errant tin to pick up. Okay, hopefully that's all of it. And now they're seated with what they need for more science. And these will keep going till they're topped off. Okay, I see what's happening. This needs to be one space further out there. That ought to help a little bit. Okay, for the module cases, we just need aluminum and plastic. I think that's everything. Let's give it a whirl. This is going to consume a great deal of aluminum. Basically 30 per second when it finally gets filled up. It looks pretty good. Not all of them are green, but I think they're just waiting for all of the belts to fill up. So it's not too much of a problem there. Plastic is certainly catching up. So where are those cases going? Are they making it where they need to? It's funny how they're just going back and forth. Actually, if there was some filter inserters, that might be avoided. Since this side going left are these four colors, it means that we only need filter inserters here doing those four colors. So it would be blue, yellow, and then the pollutions. Like that. And then the ones down here would only be moving red, and then the two components. So red, module case, main board. Like that. That should hopefully avoid some of that juggling we saw there. Kind of figured it would be doing some of that, but I didn't think it would be quite so egregious. So I'd like to kind of avoid that. I know it's not that big a deal, they're just inserters, but it looks dumb. So we'll have to do some research later and check that out, but that's kind of a sea of icons. It looks like this is still going. It's a huge aluminum sink to make these. Huge aluminum sink. It's probably about time to send another train. Yeah, pretty much. And when it does, we're not going to have any extra aluminum anymore. So actually, I kind of want to go down there and remove our little fix to aluminum. Because it doesn't seem like we need it anymore. Of course it could go back, I suppose. After we're not making modules for a while, but I just want it to look clean, so let's go. But now we can unhook all of this. And hopefully let it run normally from now on. Now we just need to use up all this extra silver. And of course, long term, all of that nickel, but that's the same story as it's always been. And sodium hydroxide is going down. Might have to generate some. We'll have to see how this works. For now, it seems to be okay. So now we just have these 3 colored setups to do. And it will be more efficient if they're built in pairs because of the setup here. So let's build this on the bottom side since it's facing down and it's the correct orientation already. So I think that's good. We can put that in there. Let the robots handle it. Then we got to try to double it. We'll copy all of the assembly machines over. Then the inserters. Then we need the same thing, but copied on the other side and the directions reversed. So something like this. And then get rid of anything extra here. But let's let the bots put all this down and then we can fix any belts that need to be updated. Alright, let's get all this lined up. Well, on the right side it's already set up, so it's the left side that needs the special attention. It looks like it actually reversed okay. I don't think anything needs to be changed. Wow, it actually fit. It's always nice when things work out. Well, I guess we'll find out when it's hooked up, if it really worked out. But for now, it seems okay. Wow. Suddenly this base is starting to feel a little small because just like that, we can see the crystal setup. So this has stretched over the entire base, or at least that part. I mean, there's still a lot of empty space, but I don't know, it's starting to feel like it's getting a little small. Might have to expand again, but it'll work for today's purposes anyway. I think we'll be fine for modules, just in the future. For the next tier of modules, I'm not so sure. Or even the next tier of electronics. But that's a problem for another day. So let's deal with this now. Wow, that is a big bobmonium patch just kind of in the way. Let's get the supplementary components hooked up first. Make sure that they work. This should be a pretty big silver sink. Yeah, to give you an idea on numbers, each module is going to require 1.8 silver and 5 aluminum, in addition to those other resources. So now that we're making modules, hopefully our resource problems with at least those resources will be over. We still have to deal with nickel, which is pretty much always going to be a problem, since it's the primary byproduct of making silicon, so we're unfortunately always going to be dealing with that. But hopefully it won't be as bad now. Okay, well, silver's going to be down here in a minute, so let's see how this works. There's the silver. Let's see, this needs to be one lower. So that can stretch through. Otherwise it seems to be distributing itself quite nicely. And we have the solder coils as well. Looks pretty good. These inserters seem a little slow, but I don't think it really needs to be that fast. It's just, it has a lot of belt to fill up. And then once it does, it'll be the right speed. Let's get the cases and the main boards in here, which are on the outside belts. And half of this solder belt is supposed to be empty. We just don't need very much of it, and we have to put it somewhere. We don't really have a free belt, so it's just kind of half belt there. Let's adjust this recipe to make tier 1 of efficiency. And tier 2. And it's going nuts. Seems good though. And our aluminum is predictably decreasing. Oh wow. Yeah, talk about an aluminum sink. Just like that, after being overloaded on aluminum, now the warehouse is getting close to half full. That was fast. Very fast. And it's still going. Oh. I see what I did there. It's going nuts because I did one too many of these splits. This was the output belt. So it filled up the output belt and then filled up the chest here. So here is a huge disadvantage to just using the everything setting, is that if you mess up, it doesn't care what you put on the belt. It just fills it up. So now we have all of that that was unnecessarily produced. And it's not a huge deal or anything, but still. It is an annoyance. Because now I gotta go around and dump all that stuff back into something. I could just even distribution it across the machines that actually need it, but I kind of want to test to see if the machines work under normal load, and that's not particularly normal. So I kind of want to put all these back at the source. And since there's no single place to dump all of them, it's probably easier to just slam them back in the machines here. It's like, well, there's where all the aluminum went. We made way too many of these. Well, we're at the point where we just need to put the circuit boards in and we'll start making the modules. And it goes in at a central point, making it pretty easy to set up here. Well, let's test all this out. Since they're connected, let's do both colors at the same time. Oh, and I made the same mistake again, where I hooked them up to the wrong thing. That is the output, Marsh, not the input. Stop plugging things into it. Sigh. The inputs are right here. Okay, let's try this again. These machines are quite slow. Because all of this to produce one module a second. Ah, we only hooked up half of them. Because there should be one right here as well. That would help it go a little faster. Well, I see some modules. Specifically, kind of what I'm waiting to see is this central part. I want to make sure that it's fast enough. And I know these inserters are going to be good enough. So I'm fine with using even distribution here to just load everything in there to make it go away. Seems pretty good. It's making it down to these last machines. Yeah, I think it's pretty good. Because they're not running at 30 per second, they're running at 18, so they don't need to completely compact the belt. And it probably comes in bursts every time these machines turn on. So far, so good. And how's that doing to our silver? Well, making it go down. And I don't think we've ever really made a request for silver since we set this up. So in a couple thousand, it's going to make a silver request and completely annihilate this warehouse as it fills up the train, and then we could probably move that silver back in. And then the only things that are limiting us are nickel and tin. We making seeds yet? Almost, actually. Because I think seed production starts when we have 30 gardens. Well, we certainly haven't made any new seed types, so maybe we have made some seeds. Oh, yep, we're making seeds, see? That one's going. So we are at the point of making seeds. Looks like the garden from Nothing Farms are starting to shut off as the system tops off here. And we're building up on plant life samples here. And that's the end of this episode. On the next one, we're going to work on agricultural modules, which will be very useful for making more seeds. Thanks for watching. I'll see you later.